What's up, guys? Rick here with your DFS preview for this week's BMW Championship. And yes, it is a wonky week, not only with the Monday finish that we got for the Northern Trust, but going to a course that is brand new on the PGA Tour schedule. It's a lot to kind of parse through here on a short week, and it is going to impact the content schedule. So the way it's looking, this DFS preview that you're watching is out right now, obviously, because you're watching it. There's probably not going to be a dedicated betting and one and done preview this week just because of the timing. But there will still be the Wednesday live chat, 3 p.m. Eastern time on the Rick Run Good YouTube channel. That's for all your questions, answers. We can go through the tournament predictor. We can do head-to-head matchups, whatever you want over there. Maybe I'll try to take it a little longer on Wednesday just so we can cover more stuff as well. And then 8:15 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday, still the Jock Market Power Hour. That's all things stock market DFS. And then on Friday, I'm shooting currently for about 4 p.m. Eastern time for the Cut Sweat show, the live Cut Sweat. Now, there is no cut this week, so it's really more of a watch party. It's really more of an opportunity to see live betting options. It'll be very data-driven. It'll be fun. Come on and check it out. Before I jump into the preview for this week, a couple of quick shout-outs. I've got winners from last week. AD dropped into my Slack DMs with a I like to shout out these types of wins, right? $10 into $500 in a single entry, not mass multi-entering anything, just firing the one bullet, winning the contest for $500. And then not only did he win, he wipes the floor with the competition. I mean, he was head and shoulders above everyone else. So congratulations, AD. And congratulations to R. Gregory and Pinto J.A. I have picked the latter two for subscriptions to RickRunGood.com. That's my website. All the tools that you see on this video and every video come from my website. So I'll get you guys set up. I've already reached out to you for your subscriptions to RickRunGood.com. If you would like to enter to win a subscription to RickRunGood.com, there are two ways to do it. If you're on YouTube, make sure that you are subscribed to the YouTube channel, like this video, and comment below with who you think is going to win the BMW Championship. That's one way. The second way is to go to the iTunes version of this show, leave a 5-star rating and review, say something nice about the show, and leave me your Twitter handle so I can get in touch with you. The podcast version, it's called 300 Yards to Unknown. It is linked in the description. And then finally, I promise, I've been doing a golf vlog. Basically, once a week, I go out and film myself playing golf. It's fun. You get to see the good shots. You get to see the bad shots. It's been very well received. There are 3 episodes out right now. There is a 4th one coming this week at a course that I think you guys are really going to enjoy. So check that out. And I appreciate the support. Something fun to break up the weekend. Okay. It's time now. DFS preview for this week's BMW Championship. Caves Valley Golf Club. What is it? Where is it? Have you ever heard of it? All that good stuff. Here's what we know. This is, of course, in Baltimore, Maryland, and we have not seen PGA Tour golf in Baltimore since like 1964 or something like that. It's been this is a Tom Fazio design that had to be lengthened and kind of updated for the modern player, and that's why the PGA Tour is back. This is a par 72, 7,500 yards. That's pretty big park, bent grass, greens, and some of the comments that we've heard. Jordan Spieth has been on record saying he's played this course about 10 times. I assume that is because of his ties with Under Armour. That would be, I guess, the Baltimore, Maryland connection there, that he's been there so often that they've played this. That's my guess. But he says it's a risk-reward course. You know, he said that the scoring differentials might be rather large. You might have guys really far under par. You might have guys who are struggling because those small margins on every single hole tend to add up. And if you're hitting it well, you can take advantage of it. If you're not, things go south very, very quickly. And there is no cut this week. So we are now in no cut season. This week and next week are events where all golfers, barring DQ or WD, are going to play 4 guaranteed rounds. And as you can imagine on most courses, every single course on the PGA Tour, driving distance is certainly going to be something to keep an eye on this week, just because of how important it is. This is a big park, and because we don't know much about it, and the players don't know much about this, right? They're going to get on site a day late and have to figure this thing out. It's kind of an interesting dynamic that we have this week with the short week. All right, let's head over to the cheat sheet here and look at the player pool. And my goodness, 7 golfers over $10,000, and Jon Rahm is 11,700, which that might be the most expensive he's been in quite some time. I mean, this used to be, so DraftKings used to constantly get near $12,000 for the most expensive golfer, and they've kind of dialed that back a little bit, I assume in an effort to make it easier to make lineups. So we have not seen Jon Rahm be this expensive since the Tour Championship, which doesn't count because that's starting strokes, right? And you get some really expensive guys, and it's not really a great indication. So the last time he was this expensive, was he ever this expensive? He was 11.6 at what was the Desert Classic in 2019. Well, that's not 11.7. No, this is the most expensive he's ever been in my database outside of the Tour Championship. Wow. So we are seeing uncharted territory for Jon Rahm. Now, is it warranted? Well, you could kind of argue it is. Let's do the last, I don't know, what do you want to do? Last 20 rounds. That's essentially 5 events for these golfers, sort by strokes gained total. And Jon Rahm is just head and shoulders above the field. He's averaging over 3 strokes gained per round. It's an absolutely bonkers number. You could argue this is well warranted. Now, if you're going to try, I like the idea of using Jon Rahm in my DraftKings lineups over betting him. You're kind of seeing him at like 5.5, 6.5 to 1. It's a really tough number to bet. And even without the victory last week, Jon Rahm was in the optimal lineup. So it is certainly possible for him to return you enough value, even if he does not win this golf tournament, especially depending on what the other guys in the 10K range do. So I don't mind putting him in my DraftKings lineups, especially because there are some really, really cheap golfers in this field that I think are going to be viable options. So Jon Rahm at the top, and then a big gap to Xander Schauffele at 11,100 and Jordan Spieth at 10.8. Spieth was horrid, I think, for 3 rounds last week, right? He was, I don't know if this is a positive takeaway or a negative takeaway for Spieth last week as we go through his round-by-round stuff here on the Holy Grail. He shot, 272s. He shot a 62, tying the course record at the time, and then implodes on Sunday, loses 8.8 strokes to the field. Right here, he lost in every single category across the board, lost huge off the tee on the weekend, lost huge on approach on Sunday. I'm a little bit worried about this. The back-to-back really, really bad driving days, that's concerning because that was the one thing that for Spieth has really allowed him to prosper this year, right? He was a zero driver of the golf ball, or even in some cases gaining from every event, basically every event from Pebble Beach to the US Open. And then if the Open Championship, he finished second. We don't have the advanced metrics for that, but the driver really allowed him to stay in play and tap into some of the great iron play. And we did not see that over the weekend. So I am approaching Jordan Spieth a little bit more cautiously this week. I imagine he's going to work hard, get that driver in order, but I'm a little bit concerned. We'll keep an eye on that as the week goes on. Justin Thomas at 10-6, starting to feel like he's, getting fairly priced again because of, the run that he had last week where he finished 4th, and we look at his advanced metrics and you see, okay, this is what we want to see from Justin Thomas. On approach, in his last 3 measured starts, +2, +6, +4. That is the combination. He finally rolled some putts in, which he's not going to gain 4.5 strokes putting every single week, but he's not going to lose 5 every single week. He's going to be somewhere in there. He's going to be volatile in a good way. So this is starting to shape up like a really good profile for Mr. Thomas there. I worry about Dustin Johnson. Dustin Johnson, for the first time in like 2 years, lost strokes in both of the ball striking categories last week. That was -2 on off the tee, -1 on approach. That is concerning, especially for a year that has not gone Dustin Johnson's way. I can continue to remain concerned. Brooks Koepka, I'm completely fine with. In fact, I have bet Brooks Koepka to win because when I opened up the odds on Tuesday morning and I saw that Brooks Koepka was 25-1 and Louis Oosthuizen was 22-1, I rubbed my eyes and I went back to bed and I woke up again, and sure enough, that was real. That was not a dream, nor was it a nightmare. Brooks Koepka's first 3 rounds at the Northern Trust were really good. Then you get a waterlogged Monday with no fans. You had to hang around an extra day. I don't think we got the most engaged version of Brooks Koepka. He was not good in the final round. Otherwise, he is still piling up top 6 finishes now, 6 of them in his last 12 starts, plenty of winning upside. So I don't mind that. The leverage spots appear to be at the bottom of this 10K range with Brooks Koepka and then also with Collin Morikawa, because I don't know what people are going to do. And I'm looking for a bit more clarification on something that we found out last week. And what we found out was that in Tokyo, Collin Morikawa tweaked his back a little bit, a little back injury. And now it's starting to make sense, because for the first time in his career, he was a 0 or worse on approach in 3 consecutive events. That is the one attribute that Collin Morikawa is by far the best player in the world at. And he was not good from Tokyo to Memphis to the Northern Trust. There is actually not another time in his career that he was a 0 or worse on approach in 2 straight events, in back-to-back events. He's now on a stretch of 3, so it makes sense that something was going on here. Now, from what I understand, and do not quote me on this, and I'm going to try to get more information as the week goes on. From what I understand, he hurt the back in Tokyo. From what I also understand, the back is feeling better, but what happened was he had kind of tweaked his mechanics a little bit and kind of changed things to protect the back. And now he's a little bit out of sync. I mean, the fact that we're even arguing about this, the fact that he's lost a combined 2 strokes on approach in 3 events, that's average on tour, right? That's average, but not for Collin Morikawa. And it's not okay if you're Collin Morikawa. So from my understanding, the miscut at the Northern Trust was probably good for him, because not only does he get the additional rest, but I believe he was able to connect with his coach, Rick Sessinghouse, I forget, but he's able to connect with his coach, and I believe they are working through these mechanics here again. So if Morikawa is healthy, if they can get him back on track with the swing, a couple of sessions, and Morikawa is very coachable, he's usually able to get right back to it. I think here's your leverage guy. He hasn't played well. The metrics don't look good. People are going to be worried about the back. We're going to see as the week goes on, but I could see Morikawa being the absolute leverage guy here in the 10K range with plenty of winning upside. Hey guys, real quick, not sure if you heard, but Caesars bought William Hill, and they have now rebranded the William Hill Sportsbook as Caesars Sportsbook. And because of this, they're going absolutely bonkers outside their mind with promotions. And the big one is that they're offering $5,000 in free bets. That is not an exaggeration. You did not mishear me. $5,000. It's the highest I've ever seen. It is by far, I'm sure, the highest any book has offered since gambling has become legalized state by state. It's absolutely nuts. You don't have to use it for golf. You can use it for whatever. Go to rickrungood.com/bets. See if it's available in your state. I'll keep you updated as more states roll out. I know there's a couple coming on the horizon here, but my goodness, it is something you should definitely be taking advantage of if you have not yet. The 9K range, absolutely stacked here. Tony Finau back after the win. Congrats, Tony. Louis Oosthuizen seemingly back in action. We're going to keep an eye on that. And remember, he withdrew from the Wyndham. He withdrew from the Northern Trust prior to those events starting. It's the neck that is continuing to give him trouble, so we will keep a close eye on Louis. But the bottom of this 9K range is incredibly interesting. Rory McIlroy, who, let's look at Rory. And I want to go round by round last week on Rory because there are a couple of noteworthy things here. So I'm just going to flip through the Holy Grail. This is the new Holy Grail. If you've not seen it yet, I really like it. So this one round, Friday's round, Rory lost 4.8 strokes on approach on Friday alone. Now, that is, let's see here, 4.8. Yeah, the worst single round of Rory McIlroy that I have in my database. That's 591 measured rounds. That goes back to the start of 2011, which is basically the entirety of Rory McIlroy's career. He came onto the scene in 2010. So this is very likely the worst single round of approach in his career, measured round in his career. Now, I think there are a couple of good takeaways about that. It was fine the very next round. I don't want to say fine, but he bounced back. He was average on approach in round 3. He gained a half a stroke in round 4. You start to look back at results, before that, he had been a consistent gainer on approach. So I'm not all that worried about that. I think there's a strong case to be made that you could run Rory back out there this week. There's also a really strong case to be made that you could run Bryson DeChambeau out there this week. And I want to be very transparent here. I bet both Rory and Bryson DeChambeau last week. I actually re-upped on Bryson on Friday night after round 2 because I loved the way the advanced metrics looked. The first 2 rounds, he had gained 2.6 on approach and 3.2 on approach before giving it away in Saturday's 3rd round. He ended up finishing in a tie for 31st. To me, this looks like a guy who's getting close. You're starting to see the approach game come around. You're starting to see the putter stabilize a little bit. He's still very, very sour around the greens for whatever reason that is, but we are starting to see the blueprint, I believe, for Bryson DeChambeau. So I'm not ready to go away from that yet. They're 94, Rory, and Bryson is 9,300. Both very, very interesting. Cantlay continues to be consistent. Hovland, played his last 9 holes without a putter on Sunday, so you might want to throw that round out the window. And Daniel Berger at a flat 9,000. I have no problem with any one of these guys. If you do want to kind of compare and pick and choose between these golfers, here's what we can do. Depending on what your time frame is, maybe you want something a little bit more recent. You want since the start of April. I don't know why I picked April, but if you want to look at April and you want to sort by strokes gained total, and you start to see the golfers in the 9K range that pop up first, Louis Oosthuizen, Cam Smith, then Rory McIlroy. Believe it or not, considering Rory has not been good this year, still near the top of the board in terms of strokes gained total, and then Victor Hovland would be the 4th guy in the 9K range that eventually pops up there. So interesting things to note. Pretty small $8,000 range here. I would not mind, I was going to say anybody in this range, but I continue to keep an eye on Scottie Scheffler. I think that he is proving time and time again that in strong field events, he can certainly contend. The other thing is I want to keep an eye on Abraham Answer here because at $8,700, we now had a start after the win. I think that's important. I think that is noteworthy. If you look at his metrics from the Northern Trust, he wasn't bad. He was just about average across the board. And, it is hard to tee off after you win a golf tournament and reset. It's hard to do that, especially for a guy who got his first victory. So I want to see how he kind of approaches this week and if he can get kind of back on track where he was piling up those top 10 finishes. Concerns, he's not very long off the tee. He is going to hit a lot of fairways, but he's not very long. That concerns me at a course like this. Good news is he's awesome on bent grass. By far his best putting surface. It's not even close, and he's very good in that category. So I'll be interested to keep an eye on his ownership as the week continues to roll on. And then the other guy that really stands out to me is Sungjae Im at 8,000. And are we noticing anything here with Sungjae? Are we noticing kind of the foundation that he's laying? He's back to gaining strokes off the tee every single week. He was phenomenal with the driver in Jersey City, gained over 4 strokes there. He's starting to hit the ball much better, gained nearly 3 strokes on approach at the Northern Trust. Now 3 events in a row, he's gained on approach, and now 7 out of his last 8. That's a really good sign. The putter, which let him down in Memphis, which let him down at the Wyndham, he was still a loser at the Northern Trust, but much closer to 0. He lost less than 1 stroke putting. This is starting to be a good trajectory for Sung Jae Im. And you can see it not only in the results, 46th, 24th, 16th in the last 3 weeks, heading in the right direction, but also in the metrics. The putter getting better, off the tee getting better, approach getting better. This is a really interesting outline, and it's much closer to his, original DNA. Like when you look and say, what's the DNA for Sung Jae Im, it's starting to look a lot like his advanced metrics right there. So very interested in the way that he is priced at 8,000, and even 8,000, it's a flexible number. It allows a lot of salary cap relief. I'm certainly interested in that. And then you go down to the 7K range, and I think there's going to be some love for Kokrak, believe it or not, just because he's kind of a big hitter. He's won twice. He's had good history at the BMW Championship. I know this is different courses, but he's coming off 2 consecutive missed cuts. I'm going to wait and kind of see the way this ownership shakes out on Kokrak, but the guy that has my attention right now is Russell Henley. Russell Henley is $7,800. He has been near the top of the leaderboard a lot recently. Has he closed any of those out? The answer is no. But he has been, he's been really good. And look at what he did last week at the Northern Trust. Gained 5.8 on approach. That is exactly what we want to see from Russell Henley. Where did he lose? The putter. 6 strokes putting, which, if you sort here, is his second worst putting week ever. Is he going to have his second worst putting week ever? Is he going to putt like that again? No. Even if he putts poorly, even if he putts really bad, you'd expect him to lose 2 or 3 strokes to the field. That's kind of normally where he's at. Not to lose 6, especially for a guy who entering the Northern Trust, he had gained strokes putting in 4 consecutive events. He is basically a 0 putter this season. So this is very much an outlier performance with the flat stick for Russell Henley. No reason to think he does not get that figured out. Now, can he win this golf tournament? Probably not. Can he provide you plenty of value? Certainly can, out of the $7,800 price tag. Couple other notables here in the $7,000 range. EVR, Eric Van Rooyen, is $7,500, and boy, are we looking at a confident golfer right now. He wins the Barracuda. He finishes 37th at the Wyndham. He has a top 10 where he is in contention all Saturday and Sunday long at the Northern Trust. A confident golfer is a dangerous one, and that is what we are seeing from EVR right now. But maybe my most interesting or intriguing option in the 7K range has to be Charlie Hoffman, because let's go pull up Hoffman's run here. He has, this season for him has been spectacular. He doesn't have a win to show for it, but he's got a bunch of top 20 finishes, and he really kind of lost that momentum at the Memorial and then through the Open Championship. He didn't play particularly well. He was horrid around the greens, all that good stuff. But what we saw at the Northern Trust might be a sign of him returning to form. Was excellent in the ball striking categories. He gained strokes putting. He was still terrible around the greens, but a T21 finish, and much more reminiscent of his stat lines from Valero to the Charles Schwab, which was 6 consecutive top 20s. That was when this was just peak Charlie Hoffman, play him. You look at this, he was getting owned at a 26% clip. And then he kind of each and every week that he didn't play well, he went to 13%, to 6%, to 6.7%. So the sentiment on Charlie Hoffman has certainly waned over the course of the last couple of months, but I think we might be starting to see signs of a bit of a resurgence. I do worry about a couple of things. He's not very accurate. He's long enough, but not very accurate. He's really bad on bent grass putting surfaces. So we'll have to see if he can fix that for this week, or at least get a little bit lucky. But that $7,000 price tag for a guy who's having a great season, had 5 bad starts or 4 bad starts, I think it's a little bit too cheap. The $6,000 range. Remember, this is the playoffs. These guys have really all earned their spot in here. They're all playing well enough. And in a no-cut event, you could make a case for almost anyone in this field. And the opportunity to buy these guys at $6,000 is really the key to getting Jon Rahm into your lineups, right? That's the thing. A couple of things worth noting. The one thing before I get into the guys that I like, Stuart Sink, unfortunately, I'm worried about. Stuart Sink has had a great year, 2 wins on the resume already. He is 48 years old in a season that has had 50 events. It's just been a very, very long season. I think he might be running out of gas a little bit. And the reason I say that is, well, since his win at the RBC Heritage, he hasn't been that good. In fact, the Northern Trust, his T21, that was his best result. A lot of outside top 30, outside top 40 finishes, and not really leaning on his strengths, which for the majority of the year was the approach play. So even with that T21 last week, well, look at what he did. He gained 7.6 strokes putting. Is that the best ever? It is. That's his best. Well, maybe not ever. It's his best single event since the start of 2011. That's 10 years ago. So unrealistic to think he's going to do anything like that with the putter again, which makes me concerned. So I'm going to congratulate Stuart Sink on a great year. I am probably going to bid him adieu for the rest of the season. Now, the guys that I am interested in, well, Cam Davis at $6,900 on a course that I think distance might be better, right? And also with no cuts, and we know how many birdies and how many eagles this guy makes. I think that he's interesting in terms of DraftKings scoring, but I'm really willing to go pretty far down this list here. $6,200 for Harry Higgs with back-to-back top 16 finishes. Yeah, you can sign me up for that, but you can really sign me up, and this is absolutely going to burn me, for a min-priced Hudson Swafford. A min-priced Hudson Swafford. Let's go find him here. Did you happen to catch what he did at the Northern Trust? Gained 12.8 strokes ball striking, 7 off the tee, 5.4 on approach. It's wild numbers, best in the field. He was the best player in the field in terms of the ball striking categories. So now we get a min-price guy who at least gives us the ball striking. Now, he was really bad around the greens and even worse on the putting surfaces. He lost a combined 6 strokes in the short game. That's not all that uncharacteristic, but that's a little bit of an extreme for Harris English, who you can see lost 3 in the short game at the Wyndham, was a 0 at the Barbasol, was a 0 at the John Deere. He actually gained 2 strokes in the short game at the Palmetto, and that's really the key for him, right? You can see just gaining 2 strokes in the short game at Palmetto, T2. That's really what we're asking. Now, it is a no-cut event, so there's no risk of that biting him on the first couple of rounds. If he's hitting it this way, I like it. He is long enough off the tee, right? Big guy who can bomb it around here. So a min-priced $6,000 for Hudson Swafford, that's going to be too good for me to pass up. So he's gonna allow a lot of flexibility, and I can imagine a scenario in which I pair him with Jon Rahm. Custom model. Let's go. I really want to shorten this up. Let's do less 12 rounds because I really want to find guys that are hot, right? I want to find that. So here's what I think for this week on a course that we've never seen before. I'm going to do a little bit of, I kind of want to do a couple of things here. I want to modify my own strokes gained off the tee. So I kind of want to do like 10 on distance, 10 on accuracy, because I do believe the rough is going to be penal this week. And then I want to let's just do that. 10 and 10. So it's basically, that's my strokes gained off the tee. I want to do 20 on approach and 20 on birdie or better. I think that's going to be important this week. So that leaves me with 60. It is a par 72, and I think the par 5s you're going to have to take advantage of. Let's put 15 on par 5 scoring, which leaves me with 25. And I want to do, let's see here. I don't want to start double counting these. I have 25 left. Let's do 15 on putting and 10 around the green. A little bit of a modified, very modified actually, strokes gain total with par 5 scoring and birdie or better being highly weighted. And this is probably going to change for me throughout the week. My number 1 golfer, no surprise, Jon Rahm. Yeah, look, when we start to shorten this up, look at the hot players that come in here. Rahm is number 1 by a pretty wide margin. Cam Smith is number 2. Harris English number 3, I'm fine with that. Burns 4, yeah, he's been good. EVR, talked about a hot golfer, right? EVR is number 5. Sebastian Munoz, I got to do my homework on Munoz. 6,700. Webb at 85. Answer at 87. Hideki and Tony Finau round out my top 10. This is very interesting. I will do some more research on Sebastian Munoz, see what he has been up to. I talked about a lot of these guys, right? No surprise to see the hot golfers here, especially when we shorten the time frame up a little bit. Bryson's my 13th ranked golfer. That's kind of interesting. Hudson Swafford's my 17th, and he is min-priced. So the, 69th price golfer is my 17th golfer? That is certainly something that you should be paying attention to. So, okay, that's what I'll do. I'll pay attention to it. I'll do my homework. It's Tuesday morning, so there's a shorter period of time to be able to do so, but we're going to turn it around. We got plenty of live content this week, more stuff coming. Let me know what you think. Tweet me at RickRunGood. Leave a comment below. Best of luck this week, and I'll talk to you guys soon.